Welcome to Others in Animation. This is a podcast that we are just starting right now, so please bear with us as we
work out the finer details like our name.
I mean, my name is my name and your name is your name, so that's cool.
Well,
we can also just
name.
not say names.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that's Lesley.
And that's Rebecca. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We have some fun things for you today, such as
sexism in the industry.
Okay, so basically, we're both in animation. Yes?
Yes. I like to think so.
I mean, we're kind of in it for now. We'll see what happens. I really hope that we both stay in animation, but like there are lots of things that kind of need to be spring cleaned, let's say.
That's a good word. I like that.
It's a sanitary way of saying, like, there's just a lot of bullshit that happens. Also, we're gonna swear because I'm in a mood. Just so you're aware.
Oh, I fully accept this. I was like wondering about that earlier. I was like, what if I swear? Oh no, I have such a foul mouth.
You know what? We're all adults here, and if we're not, then stop listening right now.
Yeah. Excellent. There will be a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was just gonna. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We can start if you want, but I was wanting to be more like, okay, so like, yeah, animation. It's like a male-dominated thing, but like we don't really think about it too much because it just always has been, and it always seems like it will be. But also, it isn't because our class is like 90%, if not more. I
can name 3 dudes in our year.
Honestly, probably about 3.
Yeah.
4 or 5, I would say top end. Of our year.
And we don't know what those other 2 names are.
Nope, no idea.
Those are just like...
I've probably seen faces.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Those are accounting for error. Like
yeah, it's a plus or minus like situation.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Can for sure name 3. And I think one of them is not even in our year. He's a 3.5 year.
So, because we are such a female-dominated class, I thought it was a really cool thing to look at actually like female people in animation, or like people who aren't male. I guess more specifically, people who aren't cis hetero white male people in animation, because that like encompasses a whole range of people on both ends.
Yeah,
you know,
I think we're looking at 80% right now. I can double check my statistics, but and it's worrying for like being women in studying animation. We're in the college institution right now trying to learn these things, and we're supposed to go out there and get a job.
Totally. But everything is like, oh, Glenn Keane.
Glenn Keane, yeah. Let me tell you about Glenn Keane. Have you heard about Glenn Keane?
What? Glenn Keane? I've never heard about Glenn Keane.
Glenn Keane, that's
Keane
me
fellow?
Inserting those L's where they don't belong.
I like to insert those L's where they don't belong.
All the time.
Wow, this took a weird turn. Okay, moving on.
It's because I can't talk, I'm sorry.
Okay, we all know this.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so like, kind of where we thought we would start is like originating at the originating factor, who happens to unfortunately be Disney. Speaking of Glenn Keane, let's go straight into, like, picture this, everyone. Children gather around. We have Rebecca to tell us a nice little story about the 1940s.
Yes, 1938. I actually have...
1938.
Oh, I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, apparently, after a certain Miss Mary Ford passed away, her grandson was cleaning out her attic and actually found a rejection letter from Disney. She had actually applied for the... and they were having an animation training program at Disney Studios, and she had actually applied and was rejected on purely the grounds that she is a woman. And that's it. And it does not mess around at all. I have the letter here, so I'm gonna just read it. Okay. Miss Mary V. Ford. I think it's Searcy, Arkansas. Dear Miss Ford, your letter of recent... Oh no, I forgot how to read.
Start again.
Yeah. Dear Miss Ford, your letter of recent has been received in the inking and painting department for reply. Let's make note of that because I'm going to talk about that in a second. Women do not do any of the creative work in connection with preparing the cartoons for the screen, as that task is performed entirely by young men. For this reason, girls are not considering for the training school. The only work open to women consists of tracing characters on clear celluloid sheets in India ink, and then filling the tracing and the reverse side with paint according to directions. In order to apply for a position as inker or painter, it is necessary that one appear at the studio bringing samples of pen and ink and watercolor work. It would not be advisable to come to Hollywood with the above specificity in view, as there are really very few openings in comparison with the number of girls who apply. Yours very truly, Walt Disney Productions Ltd. By Mary Clear.
Which is very interesting.
Which is very interesting. Yeah. So this is to a woman, by a woman, on behalf of Disney Productions.
Which is, okay, like, I think I do understand, like, the mindset at the time. And I have read this letter before, especially because it was, like, it came up, earlier this year or, like, late last year?
I think so. Most of the things that I have were published, I think, in 2016, 2017. So, yeah, it was
so I guess
fairly
kind of
recent.
like the changeover of the years. And I think it's really telling that it's, like, a woman rejecting another woman, but she's in, like, this, like, she's not even in the industry so much as she's, like, a secretary.
Yeah.
But she's still, like, perpetuating these ideas, and it's kind of heartbreaking in a way, too, because I just imagine being in her place, and it's, like, maybe she doesn't know what she's doing so much. Like, she does know, obviously, but the impact on someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, even still, like, this, again, this was just, like, the way it was. So she probably didn't even, there's a huge possibility, that she didn't even, like, think of the unfairness of that. And also, like, it's like your letter of recent date is what I wrote. That's what it was. A recent date has been received in the inking and painting department for reply. So she applied to the animation department, and it got sent to the ink and paint department for rejection.
A female name. And just, like, automatically was like, we're
so
not dealing
it wasn't
with
even
this.
the animation department that rejected her.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really...
It's really insane. They didn't even have the decency to be like, listen.
Hold on, sorry. All she sent was a letter? She didn't, like, send her portfolio or anything. I feel like I remember her sending a portfolio, but maybe I'm totally
She
wrong.
might have sent... I'm sure she sent, like, a portfolio or some examples of her work with the letter. It doesn't specify in the rejection letter what exactly it was sent. It only specifies the letter. So I'll take a hit for the team and say I do not know.
It's all good. Don't worry. We don't know.
And everything. But the other thing too is that this is like the matter of factness of the rejection is just like, no, that's done by young men, and like the women do this, and that's like all the explanation you need. Like it's almost like self-explanatory to her, right? Like no, that's for the young men. That's it. Like they don't even have to. Like if this rejection letter happened in like say like the 80s or something like that, then they might take the time to be like, oh well, women's biology makes them unfit to be like they would try to like
explanation or like reasoning behind it.
Yeah,
or, like,
however bullshit that reasoning might be, like it doesn't even try to do it. It's just like no, that's what the men do, which is very interesting. And then also the further what's the word I'm looking for? Discouragement too, because like she talks about like they're like this is what the women do and everything like that. They do ink and paint and everything, but don't even bother applying because we have so few positions available for the number of girls who apply. And like that's also telling too, because it's like so many women are already like they have volumes of women who are applying, and they're like we don't have enough positions to fill, so the likelihood of you getting in is
okay. And
very
this
slim.
is 1938.
1938, yeah.
World War II.
I will talk about that in a bit, actually.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah, because there were some female animators that came forward in 1941.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I can name them.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, which is pretty exciting. So we can actually talk about this. There was the biggest one, I don't want to say the most important, but she was kind of like the breakthrough one. Her name was, it's spelled Retta. Is it Retta or Rita? I'm not.
It could be either.
I'm going to go with Retta because that's what it looks like. So Retta Scott was actually the first woman to receive screen credit as an animator for Disney. And yay!
That's so cool!
Yay.
Okay, yeah.
And she did it not because of... She actually got in not because of World War II, which Disney later did do a program for women in animation during the World War, because they were labor.
That's all they had.
Yeah, they're like, we gotta. That's it. But this is kind of
now.
like prior to that, I believe. She wasn't part of this program that they introduced later, but she apparently did a lot of like animal studies, like in parks and stuff like that. And her drawings were actually noticed by Walt Disney himself, and she actually animated the scene in Bambi when the hunting dogs chase Feline. So she was put in charge of that, and then she went on to work on a whole bunch of other ones. And then another one I have of note is Retta Davidson. Ironically, same name, Retta. Both of them.
What?
I know.
Was that like a popular name in like
We have two double names. Okay, so Mary Ford was rejected by Mary Clear.
Well, Mary is super
That's super
popular
common.
and super common, and I still know Marys who are like our age today, which is like
It's still weird. It's such a dated name. No offense.
Mary.
Also, but yeah, like Retta Scott and Retta Davidson. And Retta Davidson was actually part of, because they had the labor shortage during World War II, Disney was like, okay, well, we're going to put forward a program, and like the women, they were taking women from the paint and ink department and telling them to like submit their portfolios for review, and they would be considered for an animation training program. And 10 of them were accepted, and Retta Davidson was one of them.
Cool.
And I think, if I am correct, okay, Retta Davidson worked on Pinocchio, Bambi, Fantasia, Sleeping Beauty, and I think she also went on to work on like The Great Mouse Detective and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But Retta Scott is, credited as the first woman to receive screen credit as animator for Disney, which is nice. And there's also Mary Blair, who worked around the same time in 1941, but she did mostly like art direction. So she wasn't actually like an animator, but she did do art for animation.
No, would we consider that mostly like backgrounds?
I think
or
so.
Character design?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, like she did.
Yeah,
she worked
okay.
on like Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that, and she did a lot of like she did mostly like illustration type stuff. So yeah,
Lots of gardens.
Lots of gardens.
So I guess they were like, oh, a woman would be perfect for this.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I mean, sexist. Coming from someone who hates gardening. But
So that's fun. I also have some statistics because they were like, they were talking about looking at this. Yeah, they're like no women at all, whatever. And it's actually really ironic because like this letter was featured on a lot of websites, and one of the sources that I was reading the letter off of, they were like, oh, look how far we've come, and I'm like, not really. Because like, while women actually can be animators now, we still only make 20% of the workforce.
23%, and I'll get to that later too.
Ooh, okay, interesting. All mine says 20, so like, yeah,
That's okay.
21.
But basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Plus or minus
Still
a couple
pitiful.
percent. Still pitiful. But we have a huge influx of women studying animation, actually. So, at CalArts, women make up 71% of its animation student body. USC's JAMC Hench division of animation and digital arts is now at 65% women. UCLA is 68% women. In Florida, Ringling College of Art and Design is 70% women. So that is like a huge shift, I guess. I think before, within like 10 years ago or whatever, it was pretty 50-50. And now it's mostly women coming in. And one person, I can't remember their name, it was in an article by the Los Angeles Times written by Deborah Vankin, which of course I didn't write down the name of the article, but she quoted someone saying that they noticed a dramatic shift about 5 years ago, actually, that more and more women were coming in. There was just like, it was like a huge like noticeable difference. But again, I think there was it was a male person who was talking, so it was like, it makes me wonder about like, they're like, oh, there's so many women and stuff like that. Of course they would notice that because they think like 33% woman is 50% women in like a room. Like it's like that level of perception.
Totally.
So I wonder
who you focus on as people who don't belong or who stand out because of that, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So. But I guess that...
And is that just women? It's like, it's not taking into consideration like LGBTQ plus, like...
Yeah, that's just women. Just women. I would like to know more about like LGBTQ members, as that's also relevant.
I mean,
to me.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
And you?
I haven't done research into that yet. That's a cool thing to look up next, because I think that... I wonder if there are actual statistics on that.
At all, yeah, that would be...
Because just since we're in such a transitionary period where it's like, it's far more acceptable to like be open about your like gender choice, first of all, and like sexuality, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think that it's like, at best 50-50.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of negativity towards
Oh, definitely.
everything that includes that spectrum
Yeah.
too. So like even if like that those people, you know, in particular are recorded in here, or there are stats that pertain to them, like I wonder how accurate that is, because someone might still say I'm a woman, so I'm like in this, you know, percentage or whatever,
Yeah.
as opposed to being an LGBTQ woman,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. We're lacking that kind of specificity.
Specificity.
Yes.
That hard word that we can't say
Did
today.
I remember the difficult words?
It keeps
you
coming
guys.
up too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Oh, goodness gracious. Actually, like speaking of, let's look at some statistics real quick. These are
Statistics.
This was yeah, they were talking about the influx of women in like studying animation and in animation programs and stuff like that. And in the same article, they mentioned that it is not mirrored in the workforce. They still make up only about 21 to 23% of the artists, writers, and technicians employed in the Animation Guild contracts as of 2017. And a lot of these numbers are American, which keep in mind, but because we're Canadian and everything, but
Canada.
they are generally pretty similar across the board. I think they were looking
Yeah.
at like employed women in Canada, I think is like 18 to 20% or something like that. Like it's very similar.
Okay.
But yeah, according to
Only 18 to 20%, and I mean, like, okay, yes, Canada is like dramatically smaller in population than the U.S., but even still,
we'll just pretend the smart women are going to the U.S. Women, according to thinkprogress.org article by Alyssa Rosenberg, which I was getting a lot of
hits for
my statistics, my current statistics on. They were saying women are still applying for creative jobs. Like there is a demand. Women are interested. Like contrary to popular belief, that like a lot of industry professionals will be like, oh well, women just aren't interested.
Wow.
Which I think the like Disney letter is great proof against that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, they're just not interested in those kind of leadership roles. But this article quoted the USC Annenberg Media Diversity and Social Change Initiative, and it quote reminds that Hollywood still operates on the assumption that women don't do top level work, and this is an industry created problem. Obviously, like as we can see, like here in this rejection letter, obviously, like going back, I keep saying using the word obviously, I gotta stop. Coming back to the letter or whatever, right, where they're just like, women just don't do it, and that's why you're getting rejected, and everything like that. This is no reflection on the women's work. This is no reflection of like her integrity or her ambition level. This is entirely the industry being like, no, we don't want women in these kinds of roles. And this is still happening. In 2012, women comprised about 16.7% of all directors, writers, and producers of the top 100 grossing films. In 2012, only 12.2% of all writers were female across the top 100 grossing films. That's 34 out of 278 screenwriters were women. Only 41 unique female directors worked across 1,100 top grossing films between 2002 and 2012. Compare that to 620 unique male directors. The ratio is 15-1.
I want to know what their categorization of unique is.
I think it's individual because like you have like over
like combinations of them. Do you mean, or like?
I think it's because like over 2002 and 2012 you're gonna have repeat directors.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. That's
That
what
makes
I'm
more
interpreting
sense.
it to be. So
For sure.
yeah. So
Wow, you have so many stats. I feel very underprepared.
I was like, this is all I have.
That's a lot.
And stuff. So I wanted to. I'm really bad with percentages. Actually, I can talk all day about it's underrepresentative and like there's not that many, and then they'll be like, how many? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why you wrote them all down.
That's why I wrote them all down. Exactly.
Okay.
I know my weaknesses. So anyway, we're going right into the perpetuation of this
Perpetuation of today.
And gender
specifically-
discrimination and all that.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to talk about the female animators' call for the end of culture of sexual harassment in an open letter into the film industry. And that was published October 17th, 2017, and there's like the full letter on the Los Angeles Times, I believe is where like the primary source is.
Our good friends, the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah.
I think we quoted them
know
3
what?
times already.
Yeah, exactly. for film industry stuff, I mean, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
where you want to be.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Los Angeles, or you
Los
can move up
Angeles.
north. So
You come
I
to
wanted
Canada.
Come to Canada. Please come to Canada. We will accept you for all of you. That's
We
my
like to
pitch.
think anyway.
That's my slogan. Please accept my
Okay.
slogan.
I accept it. It's good.
Okay, so I wanted to read the full letter because I think that is pretty succinct, and it's just like, it's short and to the point, and there's really no reason not to just read it because I think it like encompasses everything that they want, which is awesome that we want.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we. I'm gonna include us.
Yeah, let's be included in this.
I mean, I haven't signed the letter
Let's
because
make it
I'm
personal.
not actually a real person in the industry yet, but you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. One day I will
I
be.
don't count. I'm just a wannabe crying over my
Don't let
Cintiq.
them know. Okay. So, an open letter to the animation community. We, the women and gender non-conforming people of the animation community, would like to address and highlight the pervasive problem of sexism and sexual harassment in our business. We write this letter with the hope that change is possible and ask that you listen to our stories and then make every effort to bring a real and lasting change to the culture of animation studios. In the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal, many of the women who work in animation have begun discussing more openly issues that we have dealt with quietly throughout our careers. As we came together to share our stories of sexism, sexual harassment, and, in some cases, sexual assault, we were struck by the pervasiveness of the problem. Every one of us has a story to share, from tossed-off comments about our body parts that were framed as jokes, to women being cornered in dark rooms by male colleagues, to criminal assault. Our business has always been male-dominated. Women make up only 23% of union employees, so it's no surprise that problems with sexism and sexual harassment exist. Sexual harassment and assault are widespread issues that primarily affect women, with women of color, members of the LGBTQ+ community, and other marginalized groups affected at an even greater rate. I kind of wish that they had said, as an aside, like, what the percentage is too, just because I have, like, stats like that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. As more women have entered the animation workforce, it seems that some men have not embraced this change. They still frequently make crass sexual remarks that make it clear women are not welcome on their crews. Some have pressed colleagues for romantic or sexual relationships despite our clear disinterest, and some have seen the entrance of more women into the industry as an opportunity to exploit and victimize younger workers on their crews who are looking for mentorship. In addition, when sexual predators are caught at one workplace, they seem to easily find a job at another studio, sometimes even following their victims from job to job. We are tired of relying on whisper networks to know who isn't safe to meet with alone. We want our supervisors to protect us from harassment and assault. This abuse has got to stop. The signatories of this letter demand that you take sexual harassment seriously. We ask that 1. Every studio puts in place clear and enforceable sexual harassment policies and takes every report seriously. It must be clear to studio leadership, including producers, that no matter who the abuser is, they must investigate every report or face consequences themselves. 2. The Animation Guild add language in our constitution that states that it can censor, fine, suspend, or expel any member of the guild who shall, in the opinion of the executive board, be found guilty of any act, omission, or conduct which is prejudicial to the welfare of the guild. To craft and support the new language, we ask that an anti-harassment and discrimination committee be created to help educate and prevent further occurrences. And 3, our male colleagues start speaking up and standing up for us. When their coworkers make sexist remarks, or when they see sexual harassment happening, we expect them to say something. Stop making excuses for bad behavior in your friends and coworkers and tell them what they are doing is wrong. It has not been easy for us to share our stories with each other. Many of us were afraid because our victimizers are powerful or well-liked. Others were worried that if they came forward, it would affect their careers. Some of us have come forward in the past, only to have our concerns brushed aside, or for our supervisors to tell us he's just from a different era. All of us are saddened and disheartened to hear how widespread the problem of sexual harassment still is in the animation industry, and how many of our friends have been suffering in secret. It is with this in mind that we resolve to do everything we can to prevent anyone else from being victimized. We are united in our mission to wipe out sexual harassment in the animation industry, and we will no longer be silent. And then it's signed by 217 female and LGBTQ plus signers, including, as they like to highlight in here, Rebecca Sugar, who is the creator, I believe, of Steven Universe, if not the executive producer, and a lot of other very, very noteworthy names. Yes. I just kind of wrote down like the highlights that I wanted to have, and then I was like, well, there's so many that I just read the whole letter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's still
one thing that stood out to me. Sorry if I can interject.
Absolutely, please.
Is just in the letter. Did you notice the defense of some men?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it just kind of like harkens back to like whenever women talk about their experiences with like men and everything like that, being sexually harassed and everything like that. There's always some dude that stands. I was like, not all men, not all, and stuff like that, right? And it's just like, okay, but like every single woman has had this experience, whether you've seen it or not, and by being complicit in it, you're still a part of the problem. So yes, all men, because we need you to actually reflect on your behavior and everything like that. But I just noticed in this letter that it says like some men, which lets like men oftentimes when they read that and they see some men, I'm like, well, I'm nice to girls. I'm not that man.
To me.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it really easy for them to brush off. Yeah. It's just that's been a discourse that I've seen, a feminist discourse I've seen a lot about like how to like address that, like, and the retaliation that it receives when people are like, oh well, like men treat us this way, and they're like, not all men. And they're like, okay, but listen.
Yeah, the majority is still the majority, and therefore I'm sorry that you don't exactly fall in that category, but like also
what are you doing to prevent it?
That's the other thing. Like also if you are like, oh, it's not me, then like do the best possible thing and actually like, I don't know, in this case do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just don't do it. It's so easy. You know what? Here's my problem. Let me tell you my problem. My problem is it's so easy just to not do it.
Yeah.
And yet, what is it? Is it like a power trip? Is it a holdover? Is it toxic masculinity that like has its filthy, dirty claws in the sides of quote unquote some men? I mean, like, I don't know. It's so. And I know people in the film industry, and they say, yeah, this happens all the time. Like, you
get used to it if you want to be in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you're the problem for existing, like.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go off and talk about everything from like what women wear to like just like literally physically being in a room. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's a problem for guys because they can't focus. Oh my god.
Oh my god, heaven forbid.
Yeah, did I tell you the story? Sorry, it's going off on a tangent now. Tangent. Ha ha ha, that's a new word too. Congratulations.
I'm going to write that down.
Rantant.
Ranted.
Anyway, so the other day when I wore my
your leggings?
My leggings.
Yeah.
My robotic leggings.
Uh-huh.
I was looking fine that day, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And I had makeup on for the first time in 2 weeks, and I felt pretty good about it because I've been sad for a while, and I decided to make myself feel better. Anyway, and then there was
getting all fancy.
Well, not even. I just felt like I looked normal.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's kind of the issue is that like I felt like I looked like society standard that day. I mean, yeah, sure, I stood out a little bit more because like I had really, eye-catching tights on. Like, sure, and a bright blue jacket. Like, okay, I get that. But like this one guy was just openly ogling. Well, it's the gross.
He might have oogled while he ogled.
Oh my gosh, I hope not. I really hope not for the other bus patrons. Bus passengers. Because I got on the bus and he was like so close to me the whole time. It was like breathing down my neck, and it was so disturbing. And I was like, is this the kind of abuse that I have to put up with going forward in this industry? Because I mean, like that wasn't even part of the industry. That's just some random on a bus. And like, what if all the guys are of that mindset? You know,
only like plus power too.
Plus power, exactly. And so then it's like incentive to just continue doing it because everyone else is like kind of, all the other guys,
sexual harassment isn't a big deal.
Well, there's that, and then
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, and it's perpetuated by guys that are doing it that like I mean, obviously, when you know you're doing something wrong, but you can justify it with your friends or whatever, like, it makes it okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like,
yeah.
men laughing at other men's rape jokes are such a huge problem.
Oh my God.
But we won't even get into that. That's
a
another
whole
episode.
other thing. Anyway, but it's just like, stop being part of the problem. Stop being the problem.
Yeah.
Like, women, I'm not going to say that women don't also sexually harass people, or other people don't harass other people.
Yeah.
That's a completely other issue, but it is far more pervasive that men are the primary aggressors.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, let's get out of 1938 and into 2017 already. God damn it.
Please.
Can we please?
Please.
Okay.
Amen.
Amen. I wanted to end on kind of a hopeful note, because I think it's a lot of stuff that is just, it feels really heavy, and it feels like maybe there's not a simple solution, or a solution that'll even happen in our lifetimes, even though, like, progress is a lot faster, especially with how much representation there already is like starting to happen in film, in animation, in just like media in general, which is kind of good. It's good and bad because there's wrong representation and there's right representation, which is kind of what I want to get into with this podcast.
Yeah.
Specifically in animation, because it's too broad a topic otherwise.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I wanted to say is, you brought up earlier that Star versus the Forces of Evil is a show. It's a kids animation show.
Yeah.
And it is supposedly one of the first of its kind, because it does feature a female protagonist who is basically like this warrior princess, but, you know, it's not just geared towards women, towards girls, geared towards guys too. And it actually, I was doing some research about it, and the I got this from firstpost.com. If you want to look it up and verify me, you can.
Yeah.
It was posted November 28th, so yesterday at the time of this filming. And supposedly, well, not supposedly, but okay, here's the thing. So it features the first official male princess that has ever been, I think. And who also happens to be a person of color. His name is Marco Diaz, so he's Latino, which is super cool, if I can say so, because basically, I guess in the episode, he was like supposed to be like outed as being like not a princess, he's not female, and then all the girl like princesses were like, well, what does that matter? Like, like princesses can be hairy, princesses can, you know, not look this way, princesses can do whatever. It's more a mindset. You don't have to like embody all of these things. It's like, if you say you're a princess, then you are. Which is so fantastic, amazing, so powerful. Wow. I was pretty happy about that. And then also, apparently in February 2017, the article says that the show was also the first of its kind i.e. in kids animation or television, to feature a same-sex kiss or kisses in an episode.
There was a kiss?
There was a kiss.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Actually, it says multiple kisses.
Kisses. Oh my god.
Right?
What?
I know. Okay, and also, as a final closing thing of hope, the series was created by executive producer Darren Nefsey. I really hope that I'm saying her name right. Who is the second woman to lead her own animated show on Disney.
Woo!
So bringing it right back to Disney.
Yeah.
Women have infiltrated Disney Studios.
We're bringing it down. No.
So get used
making
to
shows,
it.
yeah. Yep.
So that is something that I'm kind of looking forward to, and also I don't know if she signed that petition. I would really like to go back and see if she did.
Yeah.
I hope that she did.
I hope so too.
Yeah. But I think it's so cool. And yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. So that's sexism in the industry and all of our anxieties, but also our hopes.
our hopes and dreams in one podcast about animation and women and others who aren't women, but who also are not men.
Yeah.
I mean, the standard, typical cis hetero white males. Let me be very specific.
Extremely specific.
I really don't want to alienate anybody besides this one tiny group.
And even then, we hope you take a listen anyway.
Yeah, I do also hope that they listen. And like, as it said in the letter, like, yeah, men need to support women. Men need to stand up for women. Because honestly, it benefits them just as much as it benefits everyone else.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard. You can do it. I believe in you. We believe in you.
We believe in you.
I'm Lesley.
I'm Rebecca.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.